Welcome back. Did you miss us?
I know you did.
Did you miss us? Because
Yes.
this is another episode of Girlfriendship. Yes, I'm Patricia Cage.
I'm LaFern Cusack.
And you know what? Like I said, get the glass out. It's time to raise a Cosmo. And we're going to celebrate because guess what? It's the 25th anniversary of Sex in the City. The ultimate girlfriendship show on TV. Whether you're a seasoned Sex in the City fan like me, or you're just dipping your toes in the water.
I like to dip my toes.
In the Mateens. Well, sit back, because it's going to be some real talk here. We're going to give you the inside scoop. We're going to have some laughs, and we're going to talk about them fashion faux pas. And, just sit back because it's going to be a good time.
Fashion faux pas.
Oh, come on. Nobody's perfect in Sex in the City.
I know, girl.
Okay.
I know. I was watching that.
But we learned.
We always learn.
We learned a lot of things from this show.
Amen.
Right. So, you know what? Let's stop talking amongst ourselves.
Started.
Let's bring these women. Let's welcome our guest. Today we have our Gen Z contributor, Eleanor, Renfrew, and Miss Actress. Look, shining star girl.
Shining star.
With that glitter, go girl, Stacy Arnell.
Hello.
Would you just say it was just such a fun show to watch, looking back now?
It was a fun show. I didn't really get into Sex and the City until the beginning, midway through the second season. I didn't like the POV of her talking into the camera, and everybody started talking about it, and it was generating a lot of buzz. And then so I went back and watched the first season. And so I was like, this is a show I watched. By the time the third season came around, I was hooked.
Let's start in the beginning. Let's get everybody reacquainted with the ladies, starting first with Carrie Bradshaw, played by my girl, Sarah Jessica Parker, SJP. That's what I like to call her, SJP. But, she's playing, the writer and talking about her, escapades in the world of sex and relationships. And then her girls who hung with her, which, was Miranda Hobbs, which was played by Cynthia Nixon, who was the high-powered, lawyer who was like, and she was a ball buster. I just got to say that about her. The girl knew how to hang with the boys. And then everybody's, sexual favorite, which is Samantha. Yeah. My girl, Cottrell, because she put Sex in the City.
Right.
She told those girls, have sex like men, no strings attached.
Okay.
Right.
But who was the girl who always was drinking and dripping vodka all over her chest? I'm that girl.
That girl. Well, then you're far from the one that you're far from the one that you are too crazy. You are no Charlotte. As you can see, I'm dressed like Charlotte, which was played by Kristen Davis. Conservative, just classy, sexy.
Well, yeah.
But she was more classy, pretty because she kind of kept that sexy deep down, but. It surfaced eventually, thanks to the other three women over the years. Yes. But, let's talk about, what do you remember, from that show opening? Because when I first saw the show opening, her walking in New York with the tutu, I was like,
I
look
at that. And she was owning it. And she owned it so well, though.
Mm-hmm. You liked it?
I did. I was like, oh.
I'm wearing a tutu at my age, and I don't care.
I don't care. Because I was there like, where's this going? I was taking in the theme song, and I was just like, okay, I'm trying to figure this out. But I was just like, I didn't know. Yeah. Just didn't know.
I mean, I wasn't around when it was really popular, so I wasn't there in the craze, but I've heard about it, and I've heard how popular it was. But, I mean, within people my age, there's been such a big resurgence of the show, just because I think it's a good show. I just think the plot line's really good. I think the characters can fit into an archetype, and so you can find yourself within the characters. Right. The fashion's amazing, but especially, with the first sequence in the opening, it's just artistically and creatively really interesting. And I think, again, it's the fashion. It's the fact that she just stands out in this crowd of people in New York, and people are looking at her and they're like, girl, what are you doing? And it's just super fun. And also the song is really cute, the theme song that plays, and it really grabs your attention.
Who drew you in right away?
I think it was Carrie. That's so cliche to say, but I think the thing about Carrie is that she does things that are so annoying, and you're just like, why are you doing that? What's wrong with you? But I also think she's really realistic, in a lot of ways. I mean, certain ways she just is completely not, but she is in that you can kind of find yourself where you're like, I've done that before, and you're like, why did I do that before? Or she can console her friends, and you can see her in different ways. But for me, it was Carrie's fashion, and also her career that really like drew me in, and just the fact that I loved her apartment, I loved how independent she was, and then also she had her friends.
See, what about you? What drew you in?
The fashion. The fashion drew me in.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So, like she was talking about Carrie's apartment. When I first came to LA, I had a studio apartment. Then I fixed it up and it was really nice. But I started feeling like in the first season when I went back to watch it, Carrie and Charlotte was sort of the same kind of. Charlotte was just more vocal about finding her man. Carrie was a little bit more subtle. And both of those girls, they kind of remind me of each other, and I kind of found myself being both of those girls. So I just was never like, I got to find him, I got to find him, I got to find him. But I was like, I got to find him, I got to find him, I got to find him, And so, but more so the fashion. Now, when they brought in the guys, Stanford and
Anthony.
It got a little bit more creative and crazy for me, and they became the funny to me. They were the funny, where the girls were just the same. They were the funny for me.
That's true.
Did that ring true for you too, Patricia?
You know what? I just always thought the man would come, and the man would come. I messed up there. I should have been more like Charlotte. Like she was, I've been waiting for him since I was 15. Where is he?
Yes.
And I'm like, that's where I should have been, because that's why I'm single today, because I just felt like it would come. No.
I always say to my mother, because she always say, oh, the Lord will bring him to me. I was like, well, who is it going to be? The mailman that comes to your house every day, or the Amazon person? That might be a woman. Like, Mom, you don't go anywhere. You don't do anything. You go to the same park to walk every day. I'm like, you got to get out, especially when the pandemic happened.
Yes.
I have 4 friends, all their mothers in their 70s. They met guys on dating apps.
Right.
Yeah.
2 of them are married now. One is selling her house now and moving to Virginia. And the other one, I think the man lives in Dallas and my friend's mom live in Houston, and they're fixing up both houses because he's like closer to a beach or something, and they're going to have like a beach house and her house. And I'm like, Mom, you're still single. And she always, every day, God is going to bring him to me. I was like, knock, knock, knock.
Right.
Well, one thing you said, Stacy, about the fashion, that's what rang out for me. But I looked at it a different way. Like the fashion, I was like, oh, can I actually attain that?
Remember Carrie said you can take a little bit of something cheap and then style it up?
Yes.
You can take something that's not expensive and style it up.
Dress it up, dress it down.
And then you got to remember, too, Carrie had financial issues.
She did, yeah.
She had financial issues, but she was still buying her clothes looking good.
Yes.
That's true. Can we change the subject a little bit? Let's really get down to the nitty gritty, because, Sex and the City broke boundaries with some jaw-dropping frankness when it came to the sex and relationships. Because, Samantha's favorite line was, her iconic line was, I try sexual, I'll try anything. And she tried it all, of course, over all those seasons.
She trisexual.
Yeah, she's like, I tried it all. She's like, so that's what,
Right.
I'm trisexual. I'm trying it all. Let's talk about some of the sexcapades that the women went through. I mean, do you have some of them memorable? Let's talk about just Samantha.
Liberating.
Let's just talk about Samantha only right now. What are some of the memorable sexcapades of her?
I think it was the Hamptons, when they went to the Hamptons, and Carrie and Big had a room next to her, and she was having loud sex, and then Charlotte had her kids in the other room, and it was just hilarious because she has no boundaries. Nope. She's loud. She's fun. She swings from the ceiling. I mean, she was just open
and she
free.
made it okay.
And she made it okay.
And it is. I mean, it is okay.
Yeah, it is okay.
In television with women, though, it's not. It's supposed to be. But she made it.
She's free and liberating, and
what Samantha
whatever.
pretty much said was, "Let your inner freak out." Basically. We all have an inner freak.
Get your freak on.
Please.
Get your freak on.
Yeah. But let it out one time in your lifetime. Some women never release the inner freak.
No.
And I think that show let us know, there are different phases of these 4 women. She said, but if you miss out on letting that inner freak, she goes, that's your loss.
I think she was also so helpful in like liberating her other friends with their sexual experiences, like infamously with like Charlotte and Trey, like, and she was just, Charlotte, she doesn't want to be out there like Samantha, and she doesn't want all of her dirty laundry out, but Samantha just made her feel like your body is important. What you want to do with your body is important. And I think that we all have friends like that. We all have a Samantha in our life who, when you're feeling like, I don't know if I should do this, or like, I don't know, especially in a relationship or any sexual experience. And Samantha was always, I think, there to really support her friends in that aspect, which I think was really important.
Yeah, I really like that character because I've never really seen a character that was so confident that it just radiated out. And in my head, I was like, oh my God, can I actually be that confident? You know
how they used to say what you do in your bedroom is private? Samantha was like, everybody's going to know. I don't give a damn who knows. And I just love the freedom that she had with herself.
Especially with her body, too. Really empowering. Like, I just watched the episode where she takes like a nude photograph of herself, or she just gets them like done for herself because she wants to hang them up for herself. And she's like, I want to appreciate my body in this space that I'm in right now, too, which is also really liberating.
On top of all of that, professional.
Yes.
We see these professional women like you, girl, when I met you. Oh. Right.
Head down.
We talked about
that midnight oil.
Right. But it's like, oh, damn. Who's that woman?
Yeah, but
here's
that's
the
why
thing
I got
with
a man.
Samantha, though. Well, I should say with Kim Cattrall.
Yes.
I can't see any other actress playing that role.
No.
Yeah.
No. It was made for her.
It was
Totally
tailor-made for her.
It really
because
was.
I went back and I thought about Jennifer Beal, and I was like, no, I can't see anyone else playing Samantha.
No, she was one of the reasons why I watched the show. Between her and Sarah Jessica Parker, I was like, oh, I'm in.
There's something about her courage that I think when you just see Kim Cattrall like out and about, it's so mesmerizing, I think, to witness her, just because it's like you put yourself out there in a way that I think has been so rarely seen in television and movies, and it's very impressive, and it's just if I saw her, I would just be like, well,
very iconic.
Well, yeah. Believe it or not, Kim Cattrall has always been a sexy leading lady.
Yes.
And my first experience with Kim Cattrall was in the movie Porky's. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It's one of the funniest scenes in that dirty movie that I begged my mother. I had to lie to tell my mother, oh, Mama, Porky's don't mean anything. It's just a fun movie. And when I got her to get us in there, and she looked at me. But Kim Cattrall's scene is the most memorable in that movie. And I said, I don't know who that lady is, but I'll watch her for the rest of my life. She's always played these very sexual characters to me. And so I'm very drawn to her. When I see Kim, I'm like, oh, we're going to get some sex in there because Kim's in it.
But the girl we always wanted to be, you know? Professional.
But she's perfect at it, and she holds it down. She gets her respect.
Yep.
She gets her respect.
Bringing up that professionalism, there are a lot of women that want to, pull that energy in and are afraid to do so, but then they're acting like they're the brave ones, the tough ones, but it's faux. It's not genuine. So it's like, okay, well, how do you go about bringing that energy in? And I think this show helped a lot of women do that for themselves. What do you think?
I walk around in sports bras and boy cut shorts around the house. I feel sexy just being me, and my husband appreciates it. And I also like to just dance for him.
Yes.
And I think that was because of Samantha, her character. So I like to because I'm an actress, I like to play different characters. He thinks I'm crazy, but he enjoys it. You know what I mean? And it keeps the relationship fresh. Yes. But it makes me feel sexy, and it makes me feel good, and it makes me feel free. Like, he doesn't care. I can do anything around him, and he enjoys it. I think even with a boyfriend, that would be my personality. Mm-hmm. And I think every woman should be have some inhibition, just be free. I mean, I can't really put it into words. You just should just be free. especially if you with your guy.
Exactly. Isn't that something Carrie would do? Like dance with her man?
I don't remember
Mr.
Carrie
Big.
ever doing that.
I don't think Carrie. I would think Samantha would be more on edge to do something like that.
And
Samantha was more adventurous with her
Yeah.
sex life.
she also didn't have very many like boyfriends, you know what I mean?
right.
But that was another thing too. I mean, I think it's interesting seeing this, especially in like hookup culture right now. It's I think Samantha's dating life of not having like all the other girls had their boyfriends
Right.
and went through those phases, and Samantha she had Smith at the end. Really,
Right.
that's the only one that I can really.
And then when she
remember.
had Richard,
Yeah,
I
I
loved
thought he
him.
would be the one.
yeah,
You know, Richard messed up.
Yeah, Richard messed up. But speaking of Carrie, I mean, she had the two loves of her lives. She had, Big, which later we found out was John, and then she had Aiden. Now, which one are you guys on? Team Big or Team Aiden?
You know,
You know my answer.
I know your answer.
I can't really say, but I'm leaning more towards Big because in the end he did the right thing. But it took so long.
It did.
It was torturous watching them. He did the right thing by her in the end, and I believe he really loved her, But I just hate that it took so long to realize she's the one.
That kind of reflects reality. You're talking about, the houses that the beach house and
And they're in their 70s.
they're in their 70s. Like, what's also, do we have to get married? I mean, is it you have this great relationship? I don't
Right.
know.
You don't have to get married.
No.
It's just a matter of what your beliefs are. Do you feel like, oh, I'm living in sin and I want to get married?
Or is it the chase?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I am Team Carrie. I think that Aiden, you're such an Aiden. I think like when I watch him, I'm just like he couldn't have done anything better. Like it's just so odd, and Carrie didn't want that. I think that Aiden's a great person, but I don't think he's for Carrie. Now with Big, it's interesting because I think that this show is the type of show that when you rewatch it, in different stages of your life, you just have such a different approach to it. And I think with Big, the first time I watched it, I was like, yeah, they're totally meant for each other. It's so obvious and clear. Like their chemistry is just off the walls. It's really, it's truly something. But the time that it took. I mean, I'm watching The Golden Bachelor now, which I think is a phenomenal show.
You think it's phenomenal?
It's phenomenal. I've cried sometimes, but I think that, and so people can find love, yes, when they're older. But I also think too with Big, so many of the things that he did, I just think were so distraught, and the emotions that he made Carrie feel, but she was also addicted to that pain, and so seeing it was just really hard, I think, because he just had a huge ego.
Have an episode that you were brought to tears, that brought you to tears? I have one, and y'all know what it is.
I don't know. It didn't bring me to tears, but I was saddened by the fact that when Big was still married to Natasha, and she got caught in the apartment, and the whole thing happened with Natasha, I'm like, dude, pick one. You picked one, but you didn't pick the right one. And in your heart, you know you didn't pick the right one. Now look what you've caused. Look how Carrie feels now. That kind of made me feel like, just leave Big alone. Yes. There are other guys out there, but I always felt like he was the one.
Well,
she wasn't going to be happy until she got Big. Yeah. I think he could be like, I can be with this one, or this one, and be happy, because he had been married, 3 times?
Yes.
But in her heart, she knew he was the one. And then comes the apartment, when they were looking for the apartment and that whole thing. And
then he leaves her on her wedding day.
He leaves her on the wedding day.
When I watched the movie, I was like, are you kidding? And then she did so much
the little girl.
to get over.
I blame, what's the little girl's name? Charlotte's daughter?
Lily?
I blame Lily. Lily, why are you playing with the phone?
Yeah.
Why are you answering the phone?
Oh.
I blame Lily.
Forgot about that. Lily. But she didn't.
She put the phone in the purse and he was calling. To me, why didn't he have his guys with him the day before?
Yeah.
The night before.
Well, that's the thing, because he just wasn't even in that mindset, it seems like. Like, he wasn't even
because
like,
when she
I'm
said,
going to marry
I
the
knew
love
it,
of my life.
I just didn't want to admit it. I'm like,
Yeah.
Don't even put the dress on then.
Yeah, and then Miranda didn't help at the engagement.
Miranda
dinner.
didn't help.
When
But that
it
shouldn't have
was so much-
swayed him.
Right, but so it was negativity, I guess, that was coming at them that maybe they just felt like all this negativity.
Well, I think it was because Miranda and Steve were going through their thing, and he felt like my 3 marriages have failed already. But I felt like he always should have had like some guys with him the night before to keep his morale up and, you know, forget what happened in your previous marriages. This is the one you've been chasing and waiting for, you know, because she had her girls with her.
Right,
And had she said something to them the night before, I actually don't think any of that would have happened.
Well, speaking of guys, I mean, what about Charlotte and Trey, or what? And
Trey
then
just got on my
there's
nerves.
Harry.
Yeah. Trey, that was God, yeah,
got
that
on my
was
nerves.
such
Trey
a
got
shame.
on my
Trey got on my nerves. So his
Yeah.
mom around.
His
and-
mom was a lot. Yeah. Do you remember when they go to their family home and she has
Bunny.
an affair? Yes, Bunny, and Charlotte has an affair with the gardener.
yeah,
And then the mom is like, "Well, she's a McDougal now," because they announce it.
because then she knows that there's a long line of impotence.
I mean, I think it's so interesting that Charlotte, she just set herself up for this dream man with his dream life and this dream family.
So many people do that.
So many people do that. And I mean, part of me, like, it's yeah, like, that's what you want. That's what your parents have told you that you should marry and that you should find. And that's exactly what Charlotte did.
Right.
And it just, of course, I mean, I think the show would be weird if they ended in a perfect marriage. I don't think that, I liked the way that
First
it
of all, he was impotent.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, no,
That ain't gonna work.
That ain't gonna work.
it's not going to work.
Now, I
then
don't
when
mind
they tried to get
adopting, what
pregnant-
she ended up doing, but I'm like, Trey,
But I mean,
you gotta go to some, remember the tantric class?
Yeah.
Trey, go to the tantric class, go get some work. I don't even care about the Viagra. Do that.
exactly.
Like, oh my God. And then-
Partners help partners.
right. But you know when I think Charlotte should have walked away? The moment Bundy walked in and rubbed his chest with the Vicks when he was sick, I'd have been like, I'm done. I'm leaving tomorrow.
But I liked how she stopped being in her head. And when she saw Harry, she was just like, don't judge a book by its cover, because he sure did deliver under the covers.
He did.
And,
He did.
And that's why I think
I love
I think
Harry.
they have the perfect marriage. I think she was the big winner of the formula.
Really?
Opposites attract. He is not what she normally would date.
Yep.
And he was like all about her. I don't like in my marriage.
Yeah.
Opposites attract. My husband is a bookworm. He's quiet, kind of nerdy or whatever. And I'm the most animated person ever.
Yes, she is.
But we love each other. He's not the typical guy that I would date, but I love him. And that smart thing is sexy.
Yes.
That smart thing. Like, I can walk across the room in panties and bra and he's ignoring me. Oh, that turns me on. I'm like, oh, he's going to ignore me? I love it. We're just totally opposite, but it works for us. And I think it works for Charlotte and Harry.
Well, why did we like him? Why did we like Harry?
Harry's just like all about Charlotte and his family. He'll do anything for her.
Yeah.
My wife. I love my wife. Harry
That
is
is sexy, though.
But she's
and
giving
Harry
too.
probably think, oh, I better, this is the first one to come along that looks like this that's going to accept me. I don't know how many women he's dated before that he's gotten rejected, but Charlotte just fell right into, oh, Harry. Because remember when they first met and he was coming on to her, she was like, oh, I have my glasses on.
Yeah.
If you're in love with somebody, you don't care what you have on.
Right?
So she just fell for Harry because he was like not giving up on her. He was like, I love you.
And when she came in, she
Never gonna
converted to
give you
Judaism.
She converted to
Yeah.
Judy.
Yep. She just totally went
She
all
went all
in.
in.
She went all in.
All in for Harry. And that's why I love watching them. I love watching their dynamic. And I'm sitting there like, they can just give them a show by themselves and I could just sit and watch those two.
That's true. I
the
think
second-
Harry's still like, even in the new seasons, Harry's kind of somewhat sexy to me.
I do too.
I think it's that
do
lawyer, that's
Yeah.
smart, that I'm into my wife thing.
Yeah,
I love
even
that.
the man who plays him, Evan Handler.
Evan Handler.
I look at him now in a whole different way because of his character.
yes.
If I see him on a red carpet, I'm like, oh, there go that Evan Handler.
Yes.
And I'm just getting all like hot and bothered because
Yes.
I'm feeling that Charlotte. I'm like, dang. I said, yes, Evan Handler, we see you.
I think it's game time.
We want to talk about the OMG moments, and there were many, but we want to know which ones would make you cheer or cringe?
Oh.
Okay.
And there was a lot. There was a lot. So girls, pull out your trusty paddles that says cheer or cringe.
Cheer or cringe. Cheer or cringe.
We got a theme song now.
You know.
So let's talk about season 1.
Oh.
The episode was called the episode was called Secret Sex. And it's when we see Carrie's photo on the side of the bus.
Yes.
You know, showing that she's got her column and all this, and it's beautiful. She looks great, except she's got a big penis drawn right next to her head.
Oh, man.
I remember.
Right. How would you feel on that? Would that be a cheer or a cringe?
I mean, cheer that she's on the bus.
I
Love someone did that. And cheer that her friends were there to support her. Notice how Big didn't make it, so that's a cringe. But cheer that her friends were there, and that I was proud of her for that. And she looked great. She looked great on the bus. Yeah.
She did.
And I'm sure there were so many other buses that didn't have that.
Right.
So a lot of other people saw that.
Aw.
I like your way of thinking.
I do.
I like your way of thinking too.
Thinking.
That Gen Z.
I think it's a cringe because, oh my gosh, you know, but then just exactly what you said. Just cheer your friends, cheer your girlfriends for their success.
And they brought champagne. It was really cute.
Cheer.
Yeah.
Cheer. Cheer. Cringe.
See, 2 more.
All right, the turtle and the hare. Do you remember
episode?
that? Yeah.
I remember that episode.
The names are so good.
It feels
of
like
the
I'm living. I
episodes.
feel like
They're really
I'm living that in my life. Sometimes
Charlotte falls for a new boyfriend and then called him the rabbit.
Yep. And you know what the rabbit is.
good. Oh,
the vibrator.
Yeah.
Right. And then remember she said that, she got so addicted to it that they had to do a little intervention because she felt that it was better than a man.
Right? Cheer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta cheer that on.
Because I got one. But he only comes out at certain times because you can't get addicted to it. Once you get addicted, you'll never go back to the man. So I tell, use caution. See, that's why the girls had to do the intervention.
Look, I'm married and I have not the rabbit, but I have other toys.
Oh,
So when he's away, Stacy will play.
I love it. I love
I
it.
like that.
What about old dog's new dicks?
Yeah.
Which
What was that
episode
about?
That was the one where Samantha's ex-boyfriend Brad was a drag queen named Samantha. And
Yes.
he takes over her persona.
Yes.
I'm a cringe on that.
Yeah. No one can be Samantha.
No one can be Samantha.
No one can take over
And
Samantha.
I don't want my man trying to be me.
No one can be Samantha, but you can see how much a man appreciated her, which I think is because
that he wanted to be her.
yes, to that extent. I mean, he can't, but
Isn't that the ultimate?
form of flattery.
Yes.
And the real actress has a huge drag queen fan base.
Yes, because she's such an empowering character. Totally. Yeah.
Yes.
Completely.
I say cheer, cheer, cheer. The ick factor. Ick. Do you remember the ick factor? I remember this one. This one was about Miranda when she proposes to Steve. Oh, yay. I love that.
And they get hitched.
I like that.
I like
because
that too.
Women, I today feel like go for what you want.
Amen.
It doesn't have to be like he get on one knee and propose. Hey, I told my husband we were getting married.
Yeah.
I told him. I was like, look, get your calendar out. We're getting married.
love
He
it.
was like, what?
And one last one. I know that you.
It's not that I'm not a fan of, just because it's big, but, we did have to say, An American Girl in Paris, Part 2, the final episode, where, when Big shows up in Paris and he tells her she's the one.
I'm cheering for that.
we had to cheer.
Because that's what I've been waiting all
That's what we
season
all
for.
want.
You're like horrible if you say cringe. That means that you just don't want any happiness.
No,
Right.
you want to know the real one? Here's a special one. The real me. When Carrie was doing the runway walk and she fell and Heidi Klum walks over her, I was like,
And then Stanford's like, she's fashion roadkill.
I said, that's a cringe. And I know she hit a lot of
But she
cosmos
picked
after
herself
that.
back
She
up.
did.
So I'm gonna
But then
give
she
her
had
a cheer.
a lot of cosmos after that. I know I would have went to the bar.
Yeah.
Mine,
No,
so.
and then the photographer guy that she was talking to was taking her photos, and she's like, "Can you stop taking my FA photo?"
I think overall this show really encompasses, girlfriendship.
Yeah.
It does.
Thanks for going down memory lane with us. I mean, we could talk about this show for hours.
I know.
Yeah,
Hours and
hours. But, we thank you, ladies, for coming in and hanging out. And maybe we'll do this again. Maybe with the new show.
Oh, right.
With the new show.
The reboot.
Well, I won't call it a reboot. I call it's the new chapter.
Don't call it a reboot.
No.
They've been here for years.
Don't call it a comeback.
Right. So until next time, stay fabulous. Keep those good vibes, because you know what? It's always better with a little extra girl power. Okay? Just a little bit extra.
And thank you, lovely ladies,
This was
so
fun.
you
much for
guys.
joining us.
Yeah, come
I
back.
loved your perspective. How can we get in touch with you, and how can our listeners find out more about you?
Eleanor Wren on Instagram. Follow me in my adventures, and I hope to see you guys all there.
Yes.
And you can follow me. It's at Stacy Arnell on Instagram. And just see what you see, because no telling what I'll post.
Hopefully you'll be posting some dancing moves. Oh, that's just for your husband.
Dancing.
You want me to dance for you on Instagram?
Go ahead.
I'll dance for you on Instagram. I'll make a whole video of it. Give all the women the freedom to be free.
That was fun. Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. Can you pass me a drink?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give you your other drink. It's just the same drink. I'm not giving you
Okay. Cheers.
Finish that.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I love you guys.
Girlfriendship, brought to you by Inferno Productions. Hosted by LaFern, Cusack, and Patricia Cage. Executive produced by Ulani Gray and Erica McCartan. And produced by Lauren Bond. Thanks for joining in the Ultimate Girlfriend Fest.